If you want to cook Brussels sprouts, this is the recipe you need to know. So today we're gonna do some cooking basics, and I thought this would be a good idea because if you're trying to eat healthier, you have to know how to actually cook the food so you can eat it, and you might not know how to do that. Now, roasting is one of my favorite techniques to make just about any vegetable taste good, but I think it works especially well with Brussels sprouts. So to make your roasted Brussels sprouts, the first thing you need to do is preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. While your oven is preheating, you can go ahead and prep your Brussels sprouts. Now, as you can see, Brussels sprouts are really cute. They're like little baby cabbages, and I think they're just adorable, but they're also really easy to prep. So the first thing you have to do is trim off the end of the Brussels sprout, and then you want to turn that sprout around and cut it right in half from top to bottom. Now, if your Brussels sprout has any leaves on the outside that aren't looking too great and that you don't want to eat, then you can go ahead and peel those off at this point, and they might just fall off on their own when you're trimming things up anyways. And just set those aside with the ends so you can toss them in the compost when you're done. And then you just repeat that over and over and over again until you've worked your way through all of your Brussels sprouts. Now, at this point, you'll have a nice pile of Brussels sprouts, and I think this is a good time to take a little pause and just look at the inside of the Brussels sprout, because I personally think it's really cool how when you slice them open in half, you can really see how all those little layers come together, and it really is just like a little mini cabbage. Okay, now that we've admired our Brussels sprouts a little bit, it's time to get them ready to go in the oven. So take out a baking sheet and transfer your Brussels sprouts to the baking sheet. And this is actually a great time to talk about spacing, because I started out with one baking sheet, but as you can see here, that just wasn't enough room. All the Brussels sprouts are kind of crowded and cramped and piled on top of each other and overlapping, and this isn't good because if your Brussels sprouts look like this, then that means that they are going to steam rather than roast. They're not going to taste as good. We're not going to get that nice, delicious caramelization that happens when you roast vegetables. So I got out a second baking sheet so everyone could have a little more space, and as you can see now, every Brussels sprout has its own little area. It's not super cramped, and this is going to give us a much, much better result. The next step is to season our Brussels sprouts, and since this is a basics recipe, we're going to go simple. The first ingredient we need to add is some salt, and I am using a pink Himalayan salt, and you just want to sprinkle that on over top of your Brussels sprouts. Next, we need to add some sort of cooking fat. So here I'm using the Casandrinos brand extra virgin olive oil for mine, and I'm just drizzling some of that over top of my Brussels sprouts. And if you're curious about the olive oil or the salt, I will have both of them linked for you below the video. The next step is to toss everything together. So take off any rings or anything if you haven't done that already, and get in there with your hands and mix everything up. And your goal here is just to get the olive oil and the salt evenly coating your Brussels sprouts. Then spread them back out so they're nice and evenly spaced, and now we can put them in our oven. And if you are using 2 trays like myself, it's totally fine to put those in at the same time to cook together. So go ahead and do that. And then you want to set your timer for the Brussels sprouts to cook for 30 minutes. Quick side note, if you do have more than one tray in there, I do think it's a good idea to go ahead and rotate those about halfway through the cooking time, and this just makes sure that everything cooks nice and evenly. Once that 30 minutes is up, then you can go ahead and pull those Brussels sprouts out of the oven and set them aside to cool. And you'll see that when your Brussels sprouts are done, they will be beautifully caramelized. They'll look amazing. You'll have some of those leaves that fell off kind of in the mix, and those are like really crunchy and crispy. But if you go in and flip over one of those Brussels sprouts that's cut side down on the pan, you will see that they are especially caramelized, and it looks amazing, but that's also where all of this delicious flavor is going to come from, and this is what really makes these Brussels sprouts taste good instead of tasting gross. And if you do end up making some Brussels sprouts at home, I would love to see that, so you can tag me in them on Instagram, or you can send them to me on Snapchat. And let me know in the comments, are you a Brussels sprouts fan? And if you've made roasted Brussels sprouts before, do you have any other ingredients that you like to add in the mix to switch things up and take them to the next level? I hope you like this video, and if you are new here and you want more healthy eating tips and nutrition info and healthy recipes, make sure that you subscribe, because eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle really doesn't have to be complicated, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And if you're loving the free info here but you're finding that you need something more personalized, don't forget that I do offer one-on-one nutrition coaching and counseling. So if you're interested in working with me, just let me know and we can get that set up for you. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.